GM, just a quick one before we get going. So, as you know, the Blockmates podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Certainly shouldn't be considered as financial advice. We have absolutely no idea what we're talking about half the time. So, any investment decision you do make should be based on your own research and your own understanding of the risks involved. One more thing as well, there's around 50% of people who listen regularly who aren't subscribed yet. So, if you please could just do us a favor and hit the subscribe or the follow button or the like button, helps content grow, helps us grow, helps it reach more people like yourselves, and it means the world to us as well. So that's the last I'll ask of you. So yeah, let's get to the episode. Right, welcome back, Blockmates podcast. I keep mixing up because we've got two podcasts on the go at the minute. We've got the Blockmates podcast and it's still early, and then I keep introducing the wrong one and making a fool of myself. But if you'd have told me a number of years ago when I first started writing and creating content in this space that I'd be sitting down with some of the team from PancakeSwap, I'd have kind of laughed out the room. But we're joined today by Chef Icy, who I've been pestering in Telegram to come on the podcast, and they've kindly joined us. So thank you very much. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm glad to be here. I think it's my turn to pester you now with this podcast. So, thanks for having me and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's strange because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in and around the PancakeSwap ecosystem, and we're kind of seeing it firsthand from protocols that are taking a close look at you guys, and I'm sure we're going to get all into it. But again, just to kind of reiterate on that first point, I think there was PancakeSwap and maybe like beefy finance of the early days of Binance Smart Chain, and that really kind of allowed people to see what DeFi was all about without kind of being extremely cost prohibitive. And I think a lot of me, my friends, and a lot of people who are still in the Blockmates community now have kind of cut their teeth on PancakeSwap. So I think it's good to see that this comes full circle, and just want to kind of pick it all apart really. But before we actually get into it, like, was there a kind of traditional route into where you are now, Chef Icy? Like, what was there anything from a past life that kind of led you to where you are now, working with kind of PancakeSwap, with as much or as little detail as you'd like to go into? But I'd love to kind of hear maybe some early stories of the origin story of Chef Icy.
Yeah, and thanks for asking. So there is a link there. So I first started in pretty risk averse kind of industry. So I was working in consulting, and then went into tech, and I didn't really enjoy it. So switched from risk averse to fully risk on. So started a startup. As I'm sure you know, it's a bit of a grind. But I was very fortunate to exit that startup during the whole post-COVID max bid Jerome Powell daddy kind of 2020 vibes. So yeah, exited my startup, was in this fully risk on mode. So obviously the next play to go down the risk path was to go full time into crypto. So yeah, then I joined the kitchen roughly in late 2021. But in terms of my crypto journey, started I think in 2017. I think I went straight into ETH. Never touched Bitcoin. Was fairly active in some of the ETH subreddits. And I think maybe some highlights of my crypto journey include getting liquidated on DYDX. Okay, woohoo! But then because thanks to the airdrop, I was made more than whole. So that was a great story there. Also, I think I first saw crypto kitties back in I think it was 2017 and 2018. Also, I'm sure as with most millennials, we grew up also with things like RuneScape and Neopets. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then when I wanted to, buy one, the gas was $150. I was like, oh man, that's a really good meal. Food, picture of a kitty, food won. So missed out on that, unfortunately. And I think, of course, the last highlight of my crypto journey has been working with the kitchen. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride so far. I think DeFi is in this really amazing space because it's still pretty new. Everyone always says that we're still early, and we really are. But then I think the ecosystem has, I wouldn't say matured, because there's still a lot of immature personality involved, but it has developed to a point in which you have on-chain kind of tools. There's many things that can help even people without a coding background make sense of what is traditionally quite a technical space. So yeah, I think it's really ripe for discovery now, and super excited to be in DeFi, super excited to be having this conversation with you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. Do you think because I suppose crypto in and of itself, because it is so young and particularly DeFi, even more so, there's that huge kind of everyone seems like they're doing something, like everyone you speak to, maybe they're helping out with marketing for a project that I don't know, someone's doing some code auditing or someone's doing a lot of BD for a specific company. There just feels like this melting pot of kind of everyone's doing this kind of self-sufficient startup kind of culture, and it's all like just happening on the internet in Telegram and Discord, and people are creating billion-dollar companies out of Discord, and it's absolutely crazy. But do you think you'd always lean into that hustle and bustle and kind of the grind of that startup kind of culture and like what crypto is in and of itself? Is that kind of where you want to be as a kind of person who's building?
Yeah, so I do think that the kind of like grassroots kind of approach that you've mentioned is something that has been the lifeline and will be the lifeline of crypto
Mhm.
projects. Um, oh man, but this is like my boring aging self coming into a room too. Well, at some point in time, we also do need the button-up suits. In terms of onboarding the next let's say billion users, because as much as the grassroots approach has led to some amazing innovation in the space, it has also led to some risks, and also some damage to many different groups of people. So I do think that there is a need to bring in some structure to this whole chaos. Yeah, so I think now, DeFi and crypto as a whole is at this sort of point in which we need to figure out how much do you want to encourage grassroots innovation, but at the same time making sure that it's done fairly responsibly. Obviously, a lot of the tension comes from what's responsible differs. But I think it's a conversation that we need to have as an industry. And yeah, it's something that has been, I guess, accelerated by events in the past year with the different like sex collapses, different kinds of hacks involved. So yeah, so it is a. I mean, I could have imagined me saying this, back in 2020 when I was, first using PancakeSwap. But yeah, I think a lot of like the grassroots thing is super important. But yeah, we just need to make sure that the energy is channeled responsibly.
Yeah, 100%. Just even on the onboarding perspective, I've been speaking to a lot of founders and builders in the space, and it feels like there's such a heavy focus on, right, we can definitely cater to whoever's still here and anyone who's still kind of around after the past 2 years of quite troubling times. It's then they're not kind of leaving anywhere anytime soon. But it's like, how do we bring in, as you say, the next 100 million, maybe even a billion users, and how do you get them to use the applications that are getting built now? Is there kind of a big focused effort on how do you get it into the hands of more people? From maybe it's mobile first, maybe it's making it a lot more user and accessible to the average kind of user. Is that kind of a main focus at PancakeSwap? Because I think what you guys have probably better than anyone else in the space is that non-intimidating UI UX already. So it's like, how do you get that into the hands of like the average person who might want to just trade into like a specific token? And I think you guys do a good job of it. But over the course of like, I don't know, however many months going forward now, do you think that there's a big focus internally from trying to push into the masses?
Yeah, so I think you have actually touched on a few points. So you're right that having an interface that works on both mobiles and also on on desktops, I think that's hugely important. Having, yeah, as you say, it's not like super simple, but I think it is fairly approachable in terms of how we set up our UI UX, and I think that also has been important. Um, and I think that these are maybe some like the more deliberate, more kind of yeah, like deliberate choices that we've put up there. But I think a significant reason as to why we've managed to onboard a lot of users is through the hard work and grit of our like admin team. So like most crypto projects, we have like a team of volunteers and also enthusiasts who help to answer questions, help to provide this really tight feedback loop for us. And for us having this admin community of, I think we have close to 40 ambassadors now, and they cover 15 languages. So yeah, like obviously major ones like English, Spanish, Chinese, um, but also some of like the and also some like the more the languages covered by the emerging economies, like Turkish and Indonesian. So yeah, having this like group of admins has been one of the key reasons why we're able to scale, because every time we roll out a new product, I'm always just monitoring the Telegram channel we have with them, because the feedback is instantaneous, and we usually hope that there's no bugs, and usually there isn't huge bugs, but there's always like tweaks that we could make to make it a bit more user friendly. So yeah, the admin community has been really important in terms of making sure that we're able to always rapidly iterate and make sure that user design is at the forefront of whatever we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the community is such an important part that I know that we're living in an open source industry where a lot of stuff can be kind of forked and iterated on, and that's great. But that's one aspect of it, the community, that you're just not going to be able to build that on. You need to have like such a solid base, and they can do so much heavy lifting for you. And I think it goes completely. If projects don't lean into that a lot, it's very very telling, and they don't really stand the test of time. So like, kudos for being able to build that up and make like the longevity out of it. But um, with how many products you guys roll out, because it's just non-stop. It's brilliant. I can't believe how much you can actually ship over such a short period of time, and it just integrates really really well and seamless with all of the kind of adjacent and corresponding products. But how difficult is that to go through the process of, right, this is definitely what we need to lean into, because there's a lot of shiny objects, a lot of new shiny products that come onto the scene in DeFi all the time. How difficult is it to say, yeah, this is what we need, this is what we're going to lean into, and then just pick one and then lean into that?
So okay, I think to answer like how we're able to ship products so quickly. So I mean we do have a great team, but this is gonna sound so savvy, but I think for many of us in the team, the reason why we're willing to work really long hours, like, and just to push products out is this is okay. This is the honest truth. Like, this is honestly because I think a lot of us are driven by the community, like having that sort of response, having that kind of um, enthusiasm displayed by such a wide group of users is something that does drive us. Um, Even though we have this whole cutesy kind of interface, I think for a lot of our users, this 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 ability for us to deliver products that actually do meaningfully impact their lives is a pretty significant motivator for us. So I think that has been a really that has led to be a really significant push motivator for the team to ship really quickly. In terms of what's it like from going from an idea to execution, I think it honestly depends on what the idea is. So for example, for our multi-chain expansion. I think we've only started expanding to Ethereum and Aptos in late 2022. But we've already started thinking about the idea in around 2021. So the main reason is because we really, I think, have managed to flourish on BNB chain, and while BNB chain will always be our home, having really delivered towards the market on BNB chain, we were looking off chain. I think in 2021, at a point in time, the whole cross chain kind of ecosystem was still fairly young. You did have several prolific kind of incidents with eye-watering sums being lost, and also a lot of different kinds of code exploits that we weren't comfortable with, especially because we had so much liquidity deployed on us. And then even though it started in 2021, in 2022, late 2022, we saw that there's decent tech with Lasers like OFT omni-chain fungible token. We deployed with that, and at the same time, the stars also aligned in terms of us being able to roll out V3. So the reason why having both a reliable bridge but also a way to deploy V3 liquidity is important is because, especially when you go to a new chain, your liquidity is likely to be thin. And so traditionally with V2 liquidity, you wouldn't get decent price execution. But with concentrated V3 liquidity, you're able to still, you wouldn't get amazing kind of execution, but with a much smaller liquidity pool, you're able to deliver bearable kinds of price execution. So that allowed us to really be able to go cross chain in a way that still delivered a decent experience for users. So that's the long story of cross chain, but more generally reflects that whenever we ship kind of products, it does depend on available on infrastructure like the ecosystem. And recently we've been shipping a lot just because a lot of these things have come to a head. With V3 liquidity, with things such as oracles improving a lot, and also just in terms of the market, especially in the last 3-4 weeks, seeing a bit of green, it's just been a bit more positive, which helps to really make sure that the market that we're trying to deliver is that. We in essence we try to go as soon as possible once we know that we can deliver a product that works for our users.
Yeah, awesome. Was there a bit of a steep learning curve for the community, kind of primarily switching over to V3? I know kind of concentrated liquidities can be difficult for users to wrap their head around, particularly if they've just been kind of passively LPing on just like a traditional X times Y equals K V2 Was there any kind of, not pushback, but was there a bit of a learning curve happening in the community there, or what kind of feedback did you get from that?
Even I have a learning curve when it comes to V3. I think the only kind of V3 that I'm comfortable providing will be stable paths. And I've used V3 to set things like limit orders. But so there was quite a lot of I think concern from community, and we did publish a few guys worked with team of admins to get it through. But I think we did address some of V3 concerns by more DeFi native parts of our users. But we do recognize that there are users who want that hands-off kind of V2-esque kind of provisioning. So recently we have worked with a bunch of liquidity managers to release vaults that in essence help with this hands-off provisioning. They are still in the testing phase because we do want to look at the performance over a longer time span. But hopefully, with these position managers, we're able to provide that one-click liquidity that users were used to in V2, but then have that powered by V3, underlying kinds of mechanisms, which does allow them to get higher LP APRs with lower liquidity requirements.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that's a good happy medium, isn't it? And if people want to go ahead and set their own ranges and kind of play around with that at the end, then the possibility is still there as well. So I think that's a good kind of happy medium. So one of the big things that we wanted to get into, what is happening with regards to the switch in tokenomics with the Cake token? Because from the early days, I was really lucky and fortunate to stumble upon it and purchase some and just stake it away, and and then it was great. Like it was a very, very good time to be hard if you were buying cake at like $1 and stuff like that. And now there's talks of switching over to a new tokenomic and in particular a new staking model. Can you just kind of tell us like as much detail as you can on that, and then we can, I suppose, pick the bones out of it?
Yeah, so let me first talk about those happy days with we're still in happy days now, but those like triple digit APR kind of cake.
Yeah, those were the days.
Late 2020, late 2021, like number just go up. So I think at a point in time, there was a lot of liquidity like entering BNB chain. So we went from like practically like less than $1 billion TVLs a chain to several multiples of them. And at the same time, we had a really growth focused model. So yeah, but like we were super like inflationary, but at the same time, the rate of liquidity entering the chain was similar, if not more than this inflation rate. So I think that was, I won't say suitable, but that was something that was justifiable at the point in time. And with the bear market and liquidity leaving, not just BNB chain, but just the crypto ecosystem as a whole, we as a protocol had to change our rate of inflation because we couldn't just rapidly dilute existing cake holders with this like triple digit APR thing. So fast forward today, we are in low inflation kind of mode. I think for the past 2 months we've been deflationary, and this has been something that has occurred that we've set in place for the past year or so. So we've like gradually trimmed down our emissions. So I think at the start of our year, our inflation was around 20%. Now it's around, I think in October it was like negative 0.85%. So yeah, like we have much more sustainable kind of inflation rates now. And how we're looking at it now is, Cake is not just, like this farming token. There are a lot of utilities that attribute into it. And with the introduction of, the VeCake ecosystem, we hope to capture some of these secondary characteristics within a secondary market, which is like the VeCake market. So I'll take a pause here. I just want to make sure that I answered your first question. Accurately.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it, I suppose, particularly with like multi-chain expansion, is it really difficult without having the VE style tokenomics to bootstrap liquidity for the pools across several different chains? Because I know it's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? You need to incentivize people to deposit liquidity with some form of, I don't know, emissions rewards, whatever. But then again, as you say, you don't want to just be diluting the like loyal token holders that have been around for a while. So does like the switch to VE help with that at all? Like does it enable you to go forth and go cross chain and incentivize depth of liquidity maybe by a different system?
Yeah. So I think the tension here is between token incentives and the kind of liquidity that is important for the platform. So let's say whenever we go to a new chain, we do want to make sure that we have sufficient liquidity on call pools. So for example, if it's like a like an ETH L2, we do want to make sure that we have good liquidity on the ETH pairs and maybe a stable pair. I think with VeCake, the way we think about it is that it addresses some of the long tail pairs. So not just like the ETH or stable pairs. So the reason why we have taken this approach is because just generally for let's say Convexes that are built on top of VE systems, they derive their revenue from bribes, and bribes are usually paid from project teams who want to incentivize the liquidity. So for example, Lido will give Lido tokens for let's say ETH. For token pairs like Ethereum or like Tether, I asked Vitalik for some ETH to bribe the pools on PancakeSwap, but he hasn't gotten back to me. I'm not too hopeful about that. And then when I messaged like Pablo, I got a lawyer response. So yeah, I'm not too sure about whether they'll pay bribes for those pools.
We should start a campaign. We should start a public campaign for that.
Yeah. And so the way we think about VeCake and crushing liquidity is that I think we'll still try to direct meaningful amount of emissions towards some of the call pools, and for like the non these long tail pairs, be projects like Lido or things like ApeCoin, we'll leave it up to VeCake ecosystem, the Convexes, to direct the emissions for that, because having a secondary market for this technically allows for these emissions to be delivered in a more productive manner. So the high level summary is that regarding VeCake and crushing liquidity, we'll still, as a kitchen, make sure that there is sufficient liquidity for call pools, so that the trading experience has this minimum kind of floor, and then for some like the long tail pairs and some like the project teams, we'll leave that up to the VeCake ecosystem to derive the incentives for those pairs.
Yeah, that it does make an awful lot of sense, particularly if you guys are building in an ecosystem, and there might be an emerging project over there that wants to kind of bootstrap its own liquidity, and then they go and kind of absorb as much cake, stake it, or even go to an additional protocol that owns a large share of VeCake. Makes an awful lot of sense, particularly with concentrated liquidity and trying to bootstrap that liquidity if you're an early stage protocol. So I think it's a great switch personally. What is the what is the staking dynamic for like the average cake holder now? So like the user journey would just be, you've got cake, you're gonna stake it. What's the max duration for the lock?
Yeah, so it's 4 years, and I know that that's like pretty long time, but we are here to build for the next 10 years. I think this would have been a ballsy move if we did this in the middle or the peak on top of the bull market, but I think as a protocol we have shown that we're able to survive in the bear market. So with that track record, we do feel that users who want to lock for a longer amount of time, having 4 years is I think an appropriate amount of time, and also in terms of many projects that have already built on similar 4-year systems like Curve, it's easy for them to just deploy on us, which is also the other thing that we're really keen on, to ensure that that element of composability is there for the ecosystem. So yeah, that's the rough dynamics.
Yeah, take this from personal experience. If anyone's listening, and this could be like potentially the first time that you're going to lock tokens. Locking tokens at the top of a bull market is not a good idea. And obviously that's easier said than done when there's a lot of excitement around. But I love the timing of this. Even from like a speculator's perspective, I love the timing of it because you're getting a very like good cost basis for if you were to lock. As I say, if you were locking, like if you think about locking Curve, like there's going to be some people who've locked Curve for 4 years at the top at like $5 and $6, and now they're bi-weekly
Literally me.
APRs. Yeah. I've still got some positions vesting that I locked up full of bull market euphoria, thinking it was only number go up. But you want that strong cost basis if you're going to lock. And the market is presenting itself with a very, very good cost basis for stuff like this at this moment in time. So take it from someone who looks at some of their locked positions and cries about them every single day. But like for me, the timing of this is really important. And I think it's probably the right time to do it if you are going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, again, with like the VECRB, absolutely locked like Pico top again, like main hole with all the airdrops. So, I know that, many different people in different, jurisdictions are being saved by the regulators. But I think I've been fortunate enough to, to be able to be exposed to some of these, really negative like airdrops. So, yeah, lucky me.
Yeah, and I suppose this adds a total different dimension to it as well with the VE model. And as we were mentioning, if people are wanting to bootstrap, then not only do you have obviously the removal of such a large amount of cake coming off the market from regular users, community members, just retail participants, but this then puts cake in a category where there's going to be protocols that need to buy with particular size that then want to go and lock. So there's going to be a lot of that happening. What I could also kind of envisage, and I've kind of seen the murmurs of this happening as well, is that convex to curve style layer over the top. Is there a lot of interest there from a lot of protocols? Because I keep getting pinged every day from another protocol that wants to build on top of VeCake. But yeah, is there anything that you can tell us about that?
Yeah, so I think there's like a few, good Convexes that are building on top of us. I think, oh man, this is such a boring answer, but I think as a platform, and this has been, like our general approach towards, projects as a whole. Like we do want to be neutral, so we are, making sure that they each get to do their own thing. We're not, shining too much attention on any particular ones. But yeah, there is, I guess, quite a lot of interest within the Convex kind of ecosystem. Also within the bright market ecosystem. So maybe for just some of the listeners, like for Convexes, you lock out VeCake and then you get like the Convex version of the cake. For bright markets, it's a way of connecting, users who have some sort of VeCake with users who want to borrow that VeCake power to temporary, direct incentives towards some of the pools. So it allows project teams who want to, let's say, incentivize a pool for a short amount of time while having to hold VeCake. It gives them an avenue to do so. So yeah, we do have also, a couple of bright markets being built on top of us. I know the naming is a bit sus, but I mean, that's just crypto in general. And then we have a bunch of other kinds of protocols that are building on top of us. So I think, we were pretty excited to have a significant amount of projects reach out to us. But actually, what I'm more excited for is, I know that this kind of like story gets like bounced around a lot, but I would just love for some teenager for them to like just come up with like some amazing thing for VeCake, release it, and then for us to just see what happens to the ecosystem. So yeah, we are trying to make VeCake as easy to build on as possible, and yeah, I think as you mentioned, because there is, I mean, PancakeSwap as a platform has quite a lot of draw just as a platform, but also given that the cake compared to some of the other kind of VE models out there is so much lower in inflation. You don't really have to have this constant race against time against inflation to make sure that whatever VeCake thing you're building outpaces inflation. So I think that changes the dynamic slightly so that it's a bit more sustainable and allows you to build things that don't just give crazy high APRs, but build something that is genuinely used by the community.
Yeah, that's quite a unique. I suppose that is a really unique aspect of it. Because as you said, a lot of it, like if you look at, not to throw a shade at any of the protocols, but a lot of other protocols that do switch to kind of VE staking mechanics, feels like there is an awful lot of emissions that they're trying to stem by doing that. So this is a pretty unique case. Is there a decay on the lockup of VeCake? So like, say, did your voting rights decay over the 4 years if you were to kind of lock, like similar to how CRV and VE CRV work?
Yeah, so exactly right. So yeah, there is a decay over. Oh, sorry, did I answer that? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so you're right that over time there will be a decay factor. So this is similar to VE CRV.
Yeah. So as the other really interesting dynamic now, come to think of it, the amount of kind of burn sinks that are across the kind of PancakeSwap ecosystem, whether that be some of the games, lottery, the how's the rollout of perps been? Because I know obviously everyone's kind of, there's so much focus on perpetual futures and who's going to kind of be the champion. Has that been received well? I know there's been a bit of a change up recently over there. How's that product been faring?
Yeah, actually, let me just pull up DeFi Llama. So yeah, I mean, not too bad. I think we're like top 20 in terms of pubs volumes. I think for us, our main focus is still on like the swapping, the spot trading experience. For pubs, I mean, yeah, it is something that's starting to come together because not only do you have new types of pubs protocols that we potentially can work with, but you also have like pubs routers now. So if you use like a protocol like Mook's protocol on Arbitrum, you get in essence basically like the 1 inch of like pubs aggregators, and that's like pretty interesting. So yeah, I think for pubs we are probably going to focus on that a bit, especially given the recent market movements. And yeah, like after VeCake, maybe expect some new updates about pubs from us.
Awesome. So Chef Icy, thanks so much for joining. Is there anything else that I might have missed off in a couple of the questions that you might want to focus people's attention on over the coming weeks, months, just to make sure people are 100% aware?
Yeah, so I think when you were mentioning that thing about the different kinds of like burn sync, one of the things that you mentioned was gaming. So yeah, like we've recently launched like this gaming platform, Pancake Swap Games. It's a way for us to work with game publishers and help them distribute their games to the Pancake Swap community. So the first game with sort of like co-published was with mobiles called Pancake Protectors. I think that took off even though it was like the bear market. So we had around 25,000 daily active users for that. So yeah, that did quite well. We recently partnered up with Binary X, which is also another gaming kind of publishing platform. So we are constantly trying to look at ways we can provide more entertainment, more value to our users. Gaming seems to be one of the things that our retail user base enjoys. So we're gonna work, and lean in a bit more towards that. I think just in general, And as I've mentioned at the start, we are always like doubling down, always iterating on things that make us, the go-to dApp for retail users. Gaming is one of them. There are some other things that we'll be working on that are still in the fairly early stages. Where once we can announce them, we'll make sure to share it with you guys first. But I think the one thing I do want to sort of like emphasize is that I think recently there's been a lot of attention on PancakeSwap because of some of the market sentiment. But I think as a whole and as a team, we've been, I guess, silently and consistently building during the bear market. There were like a few shining examples like V3 rollout and multi-chain. But we're working on like small things like they're not as sexy but still important, like gas optimization. Slowly tweaking our tokenomics to reduce inflation. So yeah, I mean we're always working. Sometimes the work is a bit more apparent. Sometimes there's a bit more DJing help elements to it. But yeah, we were always working and we are always I think it comes back to like this amazing community that we serve, and yeah, like I just can't wait for us to like release VeCake and like next thing to see how like the community receives it and to see the kind of impact it has on the DeFi experience.
Well, I for one think it's going to be a huge success, and I'm just excited to see what kind of products are built on top of or around it. Being a bit of a DeFi nerd myself, so I think it's going to be really, really interesting time. So try and get some sleep while all this is happening as well, because I know it's going to be a lot happening. But if there's anything that you guys push out and you want to just come back on, there's a complete open invite. I'd love to host you guys whenever. And if there's anything that we can help out with, please just let us know. But thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate it. And yeah, anyone listening, go and take a look. Even if you haven't been on PancakeSwap for, I don't know, a couple of months, go and have a look, because you'll think, Jesus Christ, what the hell has been happening? There's so much happening over there. And as I say, with all the new VeCake style tokenomics and all the protocols that are building on top of it around it, I think it might be one to just go and keep a close eye on. So, but Chef Icy, thanks so much. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and welcome again anytime.
Amazing, yeah. Great chatting with you, and looking forward to chatting a lot more. And yeah, amazing to have been here.
Awesome. Right, thanks a lot, everyone. We'll speak to you next time. Take it easy.